Okay, so this is before there was light in the beginning, right? The octahedron is the center. Natural diamonds are in the shape of octahedrons. Okay, so there's a high form of compression there in the beginning. There's a spherical shell. Okay, rotating pyramids emit spherical shells. Joe Parr did research on that. Okay, so you have this rotating pyramid. It's still dark though. These are the foundations of the earth. Job 38, 4-7. There's movement. It says the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Well, there was darkness. So water was already here. Okay. Foundations of earth, water, darkness, and movement. So movement, rotation, wind, whatever you want to call it. Do you understand? That was prior to day one. Then day one happened, right? Let there be light. God said, let there be light. So light was a product of voice, sound, cymatics. I already worked out earlier today, guys. So, let there be light. Where did the light formulate? Formulated at the top of the pyramid, right? That's why we see the Illuminati symbolism of the light at the top of the pyramid. On the sides of the north, let there be light. That's where the light formed, okay? The top of the pyramid. Day one, let there be light. And there was light. Okay, now that you have light, you have heat. You have more heat. So you have expansion. You following me thus far? Can I get an amen? Okay. So, you have an expansion going on. Who's bleeping me on Facebook? Those Arctic monkeys snap out of it. That's kind of tone down the contrast there. Tone down the contrast there. Okay, so when this expansion happened, right? This earth shell, right now it's just one shell. There was a separation that took place. It moved out, it grew, it expanded, right? So now you have bigger shell, but it split into two shells. There was a firmament. So now this is not thick anymore. This is just a glass firmament, and then this earth shell pushed out and moved out over here. Okay, so now you have the space in between, and you have this glass firmament. You understand that? Day two. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. So there was a separation that happened. Now you have the ocean water. So condensation formed. It pushed some of these waters down. You have the ocean waters of the earth, and you have the celestial ocean of heaven. You have two waters. Waters above and waters below. Do you understand me? Yes, in the beginning there was water. Okay, so now, day three, let the waters below be formed into one place, and let there be dry land that appears. So like one huge earth continent, Pangea, was formed, subsided, the ocean water subsided, so we have this big continent of Pangea. Going, it's going around the back or whatever, or the sides or whatever. So we have two separate categories, one for the land, one for the ocean. Okay, now day four, let there be two lights in the heavens. So you have the sun, I make it flat on the back side, and you have the moon. You have the sun and the moon, okay, day four. Now you have an extension of the light from heaven extending to the back of the sun, which illuminates the earth. So now the earth is being nourished through photosynthesis. New organisms are being created and everything. Okay? The sun is nourishing the earth. And the sun is also rotating too. Around like that. But it's like a big capacitor, a big battery. There's a north end, positive end, and a south end. Okay, so it's all magnetic. The sun is even magnetic. It's electromagnetic. And so the sun is actually, it's not just staying at the equator, but it's oscillating up and down every 6 months. From the tropic zones. Every 6 months, starting, summer solstice, down to the spring equinox, or the fall equinox, down to the winter solstice and back. 6 months, 1 year. Keeps wrapping around. Everything is rotating, right? Stars over here, they're in the water above the celestial firmament. They're created by sonoluminescence. Okay? So that's basically how it happened. Okay, now, then day 5, animals were created, or actually day 5, creatures of the sea were created, and then day 6, animals and humans were created. Okay, now, during the flood, it says that the water came from 2 places. It came from below the fountains of the deep, so there obviously was more water below the earth. There still is more water below the earth. And it says the windows of heaven were opened, so it came down from above too. So this compression, this expansion, this pressurize, it just collapsed. And also the sonoluminescent clusters of stars, which are basically just little nuclear fusion reactions going on, they got really hot, they clustered together, and they melted holes through the glass firmament, the initial glass firmament, and that's how the water seeped through, and that's how it came down from heaven. The windows of heaven were opened. So that's why the spiral galaxies have spirals to them, because they're like drains. That's why we see spirals in the galaxies. They're just drains, just like drains in your sink. There's no dark matter, it's just dark waters. Psalm 18, verse 11 says, the dark waters of the sky. There's no dark water, dark matter, black holes, bullshit. So, celestial ocean, windows of heaven were open during the flood, and the fountains of the deep were broken up, pressurized, think of like geysers erupting and flooding the earth. Okay, so you have this flooding of the earth. The windows of heaven says it also closed, so this melting of the holes, it healed back together, the glass sky healed back together, but it also, when it poured down with the water, sand came down with it too. And so these sand particles, they eventually fused together because, as I said before, the thermosphere is over 2,000 degrees Celsius. So the sand created another glass bubble in the sky, which stretched. If you think about melting glass, it stretches out, it expands. And so it stopped off at 100 kilometers. That's where the temperature cutoff zone is, right? So that's where it cooled. It cured at 100 kilometers. Over time, condensation grew on the underside of the glass. That's where we get the megacryometeors from. And that's how it happened. More pressure now after the flood. There's more pressure because within the atmosphere now, prior to the flood happening, the nitrogen stayed comfortably above the oxygen because nitrogen is lighter than oxygen. But now that the glass sky formed, it pushed all the nitrogen down and it mixed it in with the oxygen, so we don't have as much oxygen as before, in which there was before a hyperbaric condition.